Hello, everyone. Welcome. This myofascial release is for the upper, mid, and lower back. We'll be using several props today. So you might have a small roller or a larger roller. We'll be using a variety of props, including the rollers, the blankets. And we're going to start today getting into the upper back. So you might position your roller across your mat. Or you might even use a rolled blanket if you don't have a roller or if the roller is too much. So decide what you would like to use. And then you might want another blanket at the end of your mat. And then we're going to lay over our props. So you might start with the blanket. Make sure it's just about behind your heart. Shoulders and arms over the blanket. And rest your head on the other blanket. Notice how this feels. So that's one option. And the other option is to use the rollers. So you might start with the smaller roller. This one is a soft density and is quite nice. So again, shoulders and arms over the roller. Support your head with a blanket or a block. If it's not enough with the blanket, a block might be sufficient. Notice how that feels, adjusting as you need to. You might straighten your legs out on your mat, and then you can just relax here. So again, that's another option. And if any of these work, just feel free to stay there. So the other option is to use a larger roller, again, across your mat, and a block probably for the head for this one. So again, position yourself in front of your roller. You can use your arms to sort of start to lay back, and then reach your hands back for the block, positioning it under your head. And again, arms and shoulders above the roller. And from here, you can either keep your legs bent or straighten them out. So this is a wonderful heart opener. Notice how this feels. So whichever variation you're doing, whichever props feel best to you, invite your body to soften and relax. Sometimes it takes about a couple minutes to invite the upper back to begin to release and relax. Just let your breath be nice and easy here. With each exhale, invite your upper back and shoulders to begin to relax and release. Invite your shoulders to just sort of drip towards the earth. Relaxing your hands and arms. Softening your shoulders, arms, hands, and fingers. Just inviting your body to sort of melt over the props beneath you. Noticing your breath. And let go. We'll be here for a few more breaths. And then bring one hand behind your head, helping to lift your head. Thoughtfully roll over to one side and slowly press yourself back up to a seat. Pause here. Notice sensation. Notice if there's any sense of energy or sensation in the upper back and shoulders. And then set your props aside. If you're using the larger roller or blanket, set those aside. And now we're going to make use of the blocks. So position your blocks at the front of your mat, having one block at the center of your mat, and the second block maybe a couple inches more forward, both at the low setting to start. If you choose, you might decide to turn the block on the right up a notch, or you might keep it low. So come down onto your left forearm and bring your right elbow onto that block on the right and your forehead to the center block. This is a great shoulder stretch. Keep your hips above your knees, maybe taking your hips slightly back to deepen this stretch. If you want to deepen the stretch, you can turn the block under your elbow up a notch. If it's too much, you might keep the block under your elbow on that low setting and turn the block under your head up a little higher. Take a few more breaths here. Notice how this feels. And then slowly start to make your way back up. Pause. And then we'll place that block that was on the right over to the left of that center block. Now this side might be different. So you might adjust your blocks differently. Just listen to what feels best to you. So come down onto your right forearm. Place your left elbow on the block on the left and your forehead to the center block. Same thing on this side, taking your hips slightly back and notice how that feels. This is a great stretch into the shoulders, upper back. Breathe here. You might notice differences between your left and right sides. You determine the level of stretch here. You can also deepen the stretch by imagining you're taking your left armpit a little more towards your mat. And then slowly bring yourself back up and pause. Set your blocks aside and just flow through a couple cat-cows here. Inhale cow, exhale cat. Notice how this feels. Move with your breath. Inhale cow, exhale cat. And then coming up out of table pose. And now we're going to use a rolled blanket across the middle part of our mat. And we're going to get into the mid back. So if you were using the blanket earlier on the upper back, this is going to be a little lower across the mid back. So see if you can lower your shoulders and arms to the mat now and your head to the mat. So this is right under the middle back. If it's too much, just unroll the blanket slightly, straightening your legs out and relax here. So in this variation, the upper back, shoulders and arms are on the mat. Relaxing the arms in whatever position feels good to you. Head is on the mat. Relax here. Soften through the back. Notice your breath. And you might need to adjust your position slightly as you need to. You can bend the knees, feet flat on the mat if you would like. Find your variation. Letting your shoulders relax onto the mat. Arms soft and relaxed. You might straighten your legs, whatever feels good to you. Maybe goalpost the arms, having the arms up a little higher. Notice what feels good. Try a few variations here. And then thoughtfully bend one knee and then the other. And slowly bring yourself back up, rolling over to one side, and then coming back up and pause. Set your blanket aside. Notice sensation. Any movement in your head and neck that might feel good. Listen to your body. So next, you can straighten your legs out on your mat and bend your left knee. Cross your left foot over your right thigh and allow your left sits bone to come slightly forward. Keep your right leg active. Right hand goes behind you, left hand where it makes sense to you. Nice long spine. And as you exhale, twist to your right. Notice how this feels in your upper back, shoulders, all through your spine. Keeping that right leg active, toes to the sky. And keep your heart lifted. And then slowly unwind, straighten your left leg out. And then we'll do the other side. Bend your right knee. Cross your right foot over the left thigh, keeping your left leg active, toes to the sky. Right sits bone slightly forward. Place your left hand behind you for support. Right hand wherever it makes sense to you. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, twist. Breathe here, keeping your heart lifted. Using the back hand for support. Notice how this feels through your spine. Another breath here. And then unwind. Straighten your legs out in front of you and pause. So you might sit up on a blanket, bringing your hips up a little higher than your knees. Take an inhale, reach your arms up. And then exhale, lower your right hand to your side and come into a side bend. Notice how this feels through your spine and side body. Inhale, come back up. And then exhale over to the other side. Notice how this stretch feels. Notice any differences between sides. And inhale, coming back up and pause. And then we're going to take our tennis ball and we're going to get into the low back, the QL area, the quadratus lumborum. Be mindful if you have any issues in this area of your low back, you may not want to do this one. So lay down in constructive rest and take the tennis ball and place it right under your low back on the right side, to the right of your spine, above the pelvis and below your bottom ribs on soft tissue. Keep your knees bent here, feet flat on your mat, and just relax over the ball. So we're not going to move over the ball, just relax here. If this is too much or it feels uncomfortable in any way, just remove the ball. You might want to use maybe something softer or smaller than a tennis ball. Breathe here and invite that area of the low back to begin to relax and release over the ball. Sometimes we don't notice how tight certain areas of our back are. And I like doing just one ball at the low back at a time rather than like two balls in a sock, because you get to notice the difference. So remove that ball, pause, just hold it in your hand. Notice difference between left and right. And then place the tennis ball under your left QL. Again, to the left of your spine, below the bottom ribs, above the pelvis, so it feels like it's on soft tissue. Relax here, keeping your knees bent, feet flat on your mat, arms comfortably by your side. Just relaxing over the tennis ball. Notice if this area feels a little tight, and you might have to adjust the ball just slightly, maybe left or right, up or down, just fine-tuning a little bit so it feels like it's in the right place for you. Again, you might notice if one side of your body is tighter than the other. A few more breaths here. Just inviting your body to relax and release over the ball. Take another nice full inhale. And maybe a soft sigh of an exhale. Let it go. And then slowly shift your hips, remove the ball, pause, and set the ball aside. Notice sensation. And then thoughtfully make your way over to one side and slowly press yourself up to a seat and pause. Notice your back, your upper back, mid back, and lower back. Notice any sensation. And then you might come into table pose. Go through a few rounds of cat-cow. And again, notice how this feels now. Notice your spine. And then lower all the way down onto your belly and come into a cobra. Position your hands under your shoulders and inhale, pressing up, shining your heart forward. Notice how that feels. One more time, inhale, cobra, and exhale, lower down. Come into Sphinx. Elbows just about under your shoulders. Press into your forearms and hands. Activate your legs. Press down into the tops of your feet. Lengthen through your spine. And then hands under your shoulders once more. Come up into table and then send your hips back. So from here, we're just coming forward and back. Inhale forward, keeping a long spine, and exhale back, almost like a child's pose. And then relax into child's pose. Make sure your head is supported. Soften your arms and hands and breathe here. This is a great release for the lower back. You can stay here as long as you would like. And then when you're ready, make your way up to a seat and pause. Thank you so much for joining me today for this myofascial release. Remember to drink your water, stay hydrated, and I will see you in our next video. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.